it's going back the other way.
Put on a suit. Drink water. Don't drink and drive.
Game over.
Take it light. Okay.
Now you're more fluent.
He's got three.
Up, Bears.
So this is really good right here. Absolutely. Let's do it.
Welcome back to Texas Rangers with the Boys. We are the Boys, your daily Texas Rangers podcast by a couple of pro wrestlers who love Rangers baseball, and we want to thank you for making us the first listen of your day. This is your boy Kev, aka YBK, Kevin Frazier. As you can tell, rolling solo tonight. My co-host he's out and about across the country doing some traveling, doing some things. Couldn't make it on tonight, and actually I'm here tonight because we normally take tonight off, but I thought I'd pop on here because I won't be here tomorrow. Bull might be able to do the show tomorrow. If he's not, we will be back together. The boys will be back on Thursday for sure to do our normal show to wrap this Chicago series and to give you the preview of the upcoming weekend series with Toronto. So big week for the Texas Rangers and big couple of wins in a row now for the Rangers. Big win last night, and I'm here to talk about it. Before we talk about the Rangers, though, let me talk to you a little bit about where you can find me on social media. It's Kevin Lee Frazier. That is Frazier. You can also find Texas Rangers with the Boys on social media, TX Rangers WTB, and then don't forget to check out that website, TexasRangersWithTheBoys.com, which is all one word. And also right here on the Sports Fluent Network on YouTube. All you do is go to the search browser, type Texas Rangers with the Boys. We will pop up, hit that subscribe button. We got videos galore on there, and you can look at our made for radio faces. And again, you can find, telling you where to find Bull on social media is fun. It's Bull Pro, I think on Facebook and TikTok. And then Manimal300 maybe on Twitter. Yeah. And maybe Instagram, Manimal Bull. Yeah. I have him on there, but I'd have to look it up. But check out Bull on Instagram, Twitter, all that good stuff. Also, before we start talking about these Texas Rangers, on Friday night, July 26th at the Southside Preservation Hall, Matt War Pro Wrestling will be back with Ultraviolet Dreamers. Guys, it's going to be a hypothermia mania. And the most important thing you guys need to know, I know you guys probably want to see wrestling if you go to the show, but what you really want to see is my co-host, the 300-pound Manimal. He will be in action, so go check him out. Go have a Martin House beer with him if that's your thing. They're going to be serving up free beer all night. Also, too, you might, if he has a rough night, you might want to go get him one of those banana pudding Starry's ice cream because, man, that stuff is delicious, worth every single penny. And you're going to have Kelly's Onion Burgers out there. And I'm going to tell you right now, you better get your burger before intermission because those things go like crazy. Kelly's is always having to run to the store and get more meat because you can only put so much meat in the daggum food truck. So, man, they're going to be out there slinging burgers and fries. It's going to be great. It's going to be a good time. So go check it out. It's on Friday night, Matt War Pro, Southside Preservation Hall. Ultraviolet Dreamers, worth the price of admission. So much fun. Go out there and enjoy yourself. Enjoy some wrestling. And go give the Manimal some love. Go talk to him about some baseball because I'm telling you right now, he if you get him going, he'll go and go and go, and it's just a load of information. And that's why we do the show because we like to talk baseball together. Well, I know where you guys are here. You want to talk Texas Rangers, so let's first give you the update of where the Rangers are in the standings. So with those 3 games in a row, Rangers make a half game. So far right now, they're at 3.5 games back because Seattle and Houston are still in action. Now, Houston and Seattle are tied right now, or as far as at the top of the division. But the Angels have Seattle with their backs against the wall in the bottom of the 5th inning right now as of recording, and they're down 5-0. And then the Astros were down 1-0 last I checked. Let's see. Astros. My phone doesn't want to find them because it doesn't like them. Actually, Astros are down 5-1. So Angels up 5-0 over the Mariners. Athletics up 5-1 over the Astros. I'll tell you right now, we've talked about it all year long with these Athletics. They're going to probably be playing some spoilers this second half of the season as that young team starts to come together. And same thing with the Fighting Around Washingtons over in Los Angeles. This division is probably going to take shape over the next few years with some really competitive baseball. And it's already fun this year. I think it's just going to get, as I like to say, funner. So your Texas Rangers have a great opportunity tonight to end up 3 games back when you wake up in the morning to listen to this episode. So that's really exciting. Now let's talk about the Rangers news. So I think the big news right now is that Cody Bradford is received, I believe, his assignment. I'm making it sound official. Maybe that's not the right terminology. He's been assigned to Frisco. So he's going to get down there. He's going to pitch some innings for the Rough Riders, give that amazing team an even bigger boost that they've got with, because they've got a ton of pitching down there with Emiliano Teodo, Dane Acker, Ryan Garcia. Those, the Frisco has been the surprise of the minor leagues this year. So really cool to see Cody Bradford get out there and pitch for them, and really just glad to have him back. He's going to help solidify this pitching staff. And, now that we're in the second half of the season, as we saw last year, the more depth you have with guys that can pitch innings, the bigger it is for you, especially down the stretch, because guys get tired, man. And like with the Rangers, especially, they got a bunch of veteran arms like Max Scherzer, John Gray, Nathan Eovaldi. Like these guys, I'm 44, about to be 45, man. Like your body just don't always do what it used to. And so it's nice to have some depth here. Guys like Michael Lorenzen, who are in shape like a horse, but also getting Bradford back right now as good at perfect time as any. And then, of course, Jacob deGrom is the clock's ticking on him. And we had some good news with him on the Rangers broadcast today, talking about how he's feeling, and he's feeling good. So things are going as far as on schedule for that. So pitching is, Tyler Mahle. Again, we've talked about him at length. So Rangers are going to be getting a few starters as this second half starts to play out. And I think it's going to be really good timing for them. And the Rangers could find themselves having one of the deeper pitching staffs in all of baseball. And really, they just got to score some runs to supplement that. The second, or the bullpen after the Rangers starters has been kind of the Achilles heel of the team as far as pitching goes up to this point. And so these kind of guys are going to make a big difference in that, because with Dane Dunning, with Cody Bradford, with Jacob deGrom, with all these arms coming in. Now you don't have to necessarily, some of these guys can move to the bullpen. You don't necessarily have to get as much out of each one of them. Plus, you can give guys a spot rest as well, because you got the depth. So I love it. It's looking good for the Rangers. We need to see all these guys come back healthy and have this team deep right at the right time. Now the Rangers, we know, if you've been listening this week, you know that they designated Derek Hill for assignment. Derek Hill's been a contributor this year. If things go, he has had a couple of outfield blunders. He did actually really cost the Rangers a game, but he's also won them a game with a huge offensive performance. I want to say it was against San Francisco. So he's been a contributor this year, and he's kind of been up and down. And really, I think he's on the brink, I think, of maybe a kind of a career resurgence, and maybe not an all-star or a perennial starter, but he might be finding himself a job as a fourth outfielder in the MLB. He's got speed. He's got a little bit of power. He can play defense when he keeps his head on straight. So he's a nice pickup for the Giants. Hate to see him go, because I loved having that extra depth. But as the Rangers start getting healthy in the outfield with Evan Carter, and then Robbie Grossman's on this team, Jankowski's on this team, and of course Wyatt Langford, Adolis Garcia, Leo Tavares, just going to get packed in that outfield, in the outfield for him. So I think probably a good move for him to get some PT, hopefully with the Giants. You like to see it. Now the Rangers sign left-handed pitcher Garrett Horn. I'm not going to lie to you. Don't know a ton about Garrett Horn, but I'm going to do what every big time baseball sports I guess, whatever we are, producer or whatnot, it should do. And that's you go straight to Baseball Reference, you search Garrett Horn, you pull him up, left-handed starter, 6'1", 205, 21 years old from Greensboro, North Carolina. Looks like, oh, I guess he was a sixth round of 20. So he's a sign. They just signed him. Okay, guys. Yeah, bear with me here. It looks like a free agent signing that they got from Liberty University. In fact, I think we talked about this guy on our exclusive content down to the farm with the boys, where we cover all things Rangers minor league. So it looks like what this turns out to be, Go Kevin, is a minor league signing. And I remember now talking about, I believe we talked about this guy when we were going over the draft. And again, I'll tell you a little more about that. So that's pretty much the roster moves for the Rangers. Now, one of the things I saw swirling around on the internet, it crossed my mind even before I read it, but in my mind, but I just don't necessarily think it's the answer for this team. Maybe I'm a little bit sentimental, but you ride the highs and you ride the lows with some of your better players, and we know Adolis Garcia is having one of the toughest stretches of his entire MLB career. Wouldn't surprise me if he's dealing with an injury. It just wouldn't. And we're not really, and it's not something that's been brought up. Early on in the season when he was taking swings, I definitely saw him having some issues staying upright when he's swinging. Of course, you make a joke, oh, he's such a big guy, he's swinging hard, he's falling. But I mean, his balance looked pretty off. And I was wondering if maybe, remember he had that patellar tendon last year, and just wondering if maybe he's kind of trying to cover that up and he's fighting and playing through some injury right now. Definitely not moving as well on the base paths. Definitely not moving as good in the outfield. And again, it's not something that probably rears its ugly head like all the time, but it's just something that when I'm watching him play, I definitely know I can tell the flexibility is not quite where it was last year. The balance isn't quite there. And again, I wouldn't be shocked if we come to find out, after it all shakes down, he was hiding, kind of banged up and not feeling 100%. So that wouldn't shock me. But my thoughts is it's not about trading Garcia, but man, we got to get this guy right, because he makes such a big difference in the middle of this lineup, especially when you're talking about driving in runs. And the big issue with the Rangers in the run production this year, a lot of that boils down to Adolis Garcia is not on pace to drive in 120 runs this year like he did last year. His pace is not even close to that. And so, a lot of the offensive woes that I feel like we're having right now boil down to like that 3, 4, 5 slot. When those 3, 4, 5 hitters aren't hitting, it's pretty tough. And again, that's what you rely on these guys to do, is produce runs for you. So when that's not happening, you really can see it really, it kind of throws off your whole game plan. Right now, Garcia is only projecting out to have 75 runs batted in this year, where the last 2 years he had well over 100. Last year he had 107 and then 101 in 2022. So again, in batting averages, about 40 points, 45 points below the norm. The on-base percentage is definitely below his norm, but I think the big number here is that slugging is under 400 right now. So we're not getting a ton of slug from Garcia. And again, it wouldn't shock me if, again, just watching him get around, he doesn't seem like he's getting around like at his best. And again, it wouldn't shock me if we're looking at possibly him being a little banged up, playing through it. And it is what it is. But my thoughts are trading Garcia. I don't know what kind of value you're going to be really talking about with a guy right now that's playing the way he is. Maybe somebody looking to buy low, but what that means is you're going to get a low return for a guy that, you got him signed through next year, and he still has one more year of arbitration in the year after that, which means no matter what, you're going to get a good deal on him for his play, like whatever rate or level of play he's at, you're going to get a team-friendly deal with him next year for sure and the year after that. So, yeah, he's a great trade piece, but he also is a great piece to have here, especially if he's performing up to his standards. And I think it's really just about getting this guy right more than anything, because when Garcia is playing at his potential, you're talking about a guy who drives in a ton of runs in the middle of your lineup, who hits home runs like crazy, slugs like crazy, is one of the better clutch hitters in baseball. And out there in right field, he's got a heck of an arm. He can throw guys out. My thoughts might be more than anything is like maybe the best thing for Adolis Garcia is maybe for a healthy Evan Carter to come back and maybe get him some at bats at DH and maybe get his body a little bit of rest. Again, he's a big guy, a lot of muscle. He is a little older, and a lot of times that stuff can catch up with you. Especially, again, we talked about this on the last show. It wouldn't surprise me if this team's a little worn down, believe it or not. They didn't get as long of an off season as the rest of the teams did. Wow, darn, you won the World Series. But with all the injuries that they've had early on, it makes sense because a lot of these guys are playing a lot, not getting a ton of rest, not getting any spells. And in a year where you did have a short off season, it'd be nice to have the depth and be able to get some extra time off and for them to do that. But they've been playing from behind so much, and these games become so important so early. It wears the team down. And again, it wouldn't shock me if some of these guys are a little bit gassed, maybe a little banged up. And that's the way baseball go. But it's just, that all leads me to say I'm not ready to bail on Garcia whatsoever yet. He's got a team-friendly contract. He's got such a high ceiling, and I'd just rather see him get it right and help us in the middle of that order. Now, one other thing I did notice, and I wasn't trying to talk about this tonight, but I saw it on the trade, saw some trade rumors, was, just kind of checking it around. I mean, it's getting that time of year, and I saw that the Orioles are shopping Ryan Mountcastle. Like, of all the teams that I might be shopping their players, I mean, the reality is, like, we have what they need. I mean, we got a ton of starting pitching, so we've got something they need. And these guys for us are all, on short-term contracts. I mean, Heaney, Gray, Eovaldi, and I'm not talking about these guys trading these guys. Lorenzen, these guys are all on 1-year contracts. So, like, for us, it's a huge return if we can get somebody back that might be able to help us with what we need help with. And then, kind of the same thing. I'm checking out his contract right now. So Mountcastle's not a free agent until 2027. So, like, this would be a heck of a turnaround for the Rangers, because you give up a guy, a prospect or whatnot, and maybe a major league, major league pitcher, and that you have a plenty of, and you get back a guy with a couple more with a mega power hitter from the right-handed side of the plate, plays first base, plays left field, can DH. So he plugs in a ton of what you need in certain positions. Gives you just a lot more flexibility in that lineup. So, that DH has been a big issue. But the other thing about Mountcastle, the Rangers struggle against lefties. Well, this guy absolutely shreds lefties. So it's like, he looks like he could help the Rangers a lot. If you can make that deal happen and find out, kind of what are these guys looking for a lifetime 453 slug. And, I think he's a good piece. I think for the Rangers, it might be a nice move. And I think the Rangers just happen to have what the Orioles need, because, Bradish, he's done for the year. And we just saw Kramer's coming back. He's just getting back, and he's, he looked like the most vulnerable guy that they faced against the Orioles. So, hey, maybe Mountcastle, that's the kind of guy the Rangers could use, a guy that can play the positions that they need help at, first base. Nate Lowe's struggled against lefties all year. His slug is way down. Left field, which, having an extra outfielder, and then, of course, designated hitter. So, Mountcastle is the kind of guy I'd be interested in looking at. Maybe he's not the guy, but that kind of guy would be a really interesting piece. And I love the controllable, a couple more. Doesn't hit the free agent market till 2027. So anyways, that's my 2 cents on Mountcastle. That's what we got. Rangers news and roster. So let me go ahead and tell you guys real quick about our exclusive content down on the farm with the boys, where we cover all things Rangers minor league. And when I say all things, I'm talking draft. I'm talking all the way from the Dominican Summer League all the way up through AAA. I'm getting screenshots every single day from Bull about what's going on in the minors, and we have our hot topics that kind of rotate throughout the year. Early in the year, the hot topic was definitely Jack Leiter. And then now, big hot topic is, Emiliano Teodo, who started the Futures game a couple of weeks ago during the All-Star on the All-Star break. So, the Rangers got a lot of cool things going on at the minor league level. If you want to know more about what's going on with this team, you want to see what the future holds for them in the immediate future, but also in the long-term future, because I like to think that this team has a plan for the duration of the Seager and Semien and DeGrom contracts to compete and be competitive. And to do that, you're going to have to produce talent. You got to get these guys major league ready. You got to be able to plug in guys from your own farm system so that you're not dropping $400 million a year in free agent contracts. So Rangers have a ton going on at the minor league level. And last week we covered the draft. They had a ton, the draft was a really fun episode because it kind of told us what the Rangers have in store for the future. It does line up. Their draft, to me, kind of lines up with that timeline. They're drafting, college players that have a faster turnaround, guys that might be able to plug in and contribute sooner than later. And I think that's great. And the way that they're drafting pitching over the last few years is really encouraging. And some of these guys are going to be some monsters coming up through the system. So if you want to know more about that exclusive content, you can go to the website, TexasRangersWithTheBoys.com, which is all one word, or you can go to Spotify. It's just $1.99 a month. So you make us your one-stop shop for all things Rangers. Organization-wide, I'm telling you, man, I learned more about baseball doing this show, and I feel like I'm in the weeds with this team when it comes to when we start talking about their minor league system and just all the layers that are involved in a major league organization and what they do and what these guys are doing on a daily basis to bring us the most amazing game, I believe, in American sports, which is Major League Baseball. So let's talk about some Major League Baseball. Let's talk about some box scores. So Rangers, what excites me about what they've done the last couple of nights with the White Sox, of course, the dramatic fashion is great. Of course, the love winning close games because it kind of makes your team come together. It gives you that emotional burst, that emotional bond because you're playing in these tight games. You're coming back or you're playing these nail biters. And I think that builds team camaraderie as much as anything. It also builds a winner, because when you get into the postseason, a lot of times you get into these tight games, and definitely a different team this year for the Rangers than what we saw last year, when you saw a ton of games where they kind of offensively blew people out, and then they would kind of take games off. They take off games offensively and then get beat. And it didn't play a ton of close games last year. This year, it seems like they've been playing a lot. And one of the big things that has happened over really their success lately has not as much been the offense. It's been once the starter comes out of the game, those guys that come in the 6th, 7th, and 8th inning, really the 6th and the 7th, the 5th through 7th is where it really has been a thing. And even today, with Robertson and Yates kind of taxed, and even tomorrow, it's still same thing. They're going to be taxed. So Rangers have to have a plan for the back end of that bullpen because these guys cannot pitch every single day. It's been the other guys in the bullpen. And, I understand, I know Josh Sborz last night gave up that home run, and it was a costly home run. I mean, it really was. At the time that he gave it up, it was not a good time for it. But still, at the same time, man, I'm glad that Josh Sborz is back because I feel like overall, I feel like this was he was primed for a breakout year this year because it really seems like he's starting to figure things out with the balance between his fastball and breaking pitches. And he just I think he had a slider that didn't slide. And Benintendi, who doesn't hit a lot of home runs, kind of caught him. And one thing about Benintendi, I mean, he doesn't make $15 million a year because he's not a good ball player. He's just in a period of his career, which happens to most players. Not only a few players don't have this happen to them, where he's just going through a really tough struggle. And honestly, it's hurt his team, I think, a lot because they were relying on him to have a big year. Obviously, with Robert being hurt, Luis Robert being hurt as well. That hasn't helped. And then, of course, Vaughn at first base hasn't hit as well as we know he can. So White Sox have struggled, but Benintendi's a good hitter, man. And if he gets you, he got Spores there in that 8th inning. I think it was the 8th. Let me double check here. But it was the 9th. Okay. 9th inning. That's right, because we brought in old boy to help him out, because we brought in Yates because of that homer. What we needed was Spores to be able to get a couple of innings there and save the back end of our bullpen, because John Gray had yet another fantastic start, and he's had a bunch of these with the Rangers. He really has had a bunch of these starts with the Rangers. He has been inconsistent. And when I say that, it gives the impression that, when you say inconsistent, I think you need to, I wish you could have a level, he's inconsistent, a lower end inconsistent. He's had 3 or 4 starts this year where he's been really bad. But then I would say pretty much every other start that he's had this year, he's been really good. And one thing that the Rangers really needed from him tonight was innings. They needed some innings. They needed to give their bullpen a little bit of a break. And John Gray only threw 80 pitches through 7 2/3. That is masterful. And he managed 5 strikeouts there as well. No walks today from the Rangers. And you got to think that had to be one of those put your foot down conversations behind closed doors with the coaching staff and the team, because the Rangers have really started to cut down on those walks over the last, really since the All-Star break, since they've come back. You've seen them do really well with that. You saw Lorenzen cut the walks down last night, 17 Ks last night from the pitching staff, which, I don't know the last time I saw that in the box score. And I know they went into extra innings. We're talking 1 extra inning. Yates comes in, gets the save over the 2/3 of an inning, kind of bails out Spores there a little bit, which, again, I'm just really not that mad at it. Not yet. Not unless we see this on a consistent basis with Spores. Then I might be concerned. But so far, Spores is still sitting at a 3 ERA. He, I believe, he's the guy that the Rangers are looking to when that starter comes out. If they're in a high leverage situation, when those starters come out of the game, he's their go-to guy there. And I think that's a really good thing for the Rangers, especially if he can step up and do the job and really continue doing his thing. Rangers ran into I would say all-star caliber pitcher today or yesterday with Garrett Crochet. I think that's how you pronounce his name. This dude is huge, 6'6", 245, left-handed, nasty. I'm just absolutely nasty. You can get anything off of a guy like this. You should be happy. The thing I like that the Rangers did with him is they got that pitch count up. And again, this is the Rangers team. And there's the only caveat to this is if you're getting tough calls from the umpire. An umpire can ruin this philosophy or this playing style probably better than anybody. If you're not getting, if at the plate, if the ump's not calling, if you're not getting the calls, it becomes very hard to work pitch counts because you just don't know what the ump's going to do. And then you end up sitting up there watching strike threes go by or getting yourself behind in counts when if it's going to be a wide strike zone, then you got to be aggressive early in counts because that's just what you got to do because that's what's going on. But if you're getting a pretty fair strike zone, I think you can really work a pitcher and really make him throw a lot more pitches than you want him to. And when you got a guy, and you saw the Rangers do this last year, I think the game that I remember last year where it was the most obvious to me was Zach Gallen. But even in a game where they lost, I think to Garrett Cole, they worked him, same thing. I mean, they weren't just letting him go out there and single digit innings. And with Crochet, 74 pitches over 4 innings. Well, we just talked. John Gray threw 80 pitches over 7 2/3. So, Gray's kind of cruising along and Crochet's out there really laboring. He struck out 7 guys, walked 2, 7 hits. So he had 6 base runners over 4 innings against a really good pitcher, and you got him for 2 runs. So, I mean, I'm not too mad about it, man. Not at all. And I think that the Rangers did what they had to do to produce runs too. I mean, you had the double steal there with Garcia and Josh Smith. I've seen this starting to become a play. Like I'm starting to see this a lot when teams run the shift and there's a base runner on. It's starting to become a thing where it's kind of like the shift. I use air quotes because like they still kind of do the semi shift. Like if you don't have a guy, you're not holding the guy on the base. I mean, it really is a bit of a liability for the pitcher. Because pitcher, especially if he's on third, the pitcher can if you're a righty, you can see this guy. So it's got to be a little bit distracting for one. And so, Josh Smith there's nobody holding him on. He's on third base. I mean, it's not like it's, a situation where he needs to be super conservative there in that spot. And when they do that double steal, I'm just in my head, I'm like, why would he throw that? But I'm not a major leaguer. I'm not on the field. The game is running a lot faster in real time than it is sitting here watching it on the replay and being Mr. Armchair. What I don't know. What would you be, an armchair pitcher, armchair catcher, whatever we are, baseball guy, armchair baseball guy, to be real critical of it. But, of course, watching the play, him throwing it down to second is a done deal. Done deal. Like you knew Smith was going to run. He's got the speed. Josh Smith scores there. And, the Rangers got a couple of runs on Crochet there right off the bat, which until the bottom of the 8th inning, that was all the Rangers were going to get. The White Sox get that. How did they get that run? How did they get that run? I want to say they got a couple of doubles there off of John Gray and scored a run, got him in the 3rd there. But other than that, it was pretty much a non-factor until that home run. They were pretty much had no offense until that home run by Benintendi there in the top of the 9th give us a little bit of a scare. But, big shout out to the Rangers who made something happen there in the bottom of the 8th. I want to say you had a Simeon. I think it was a Simeon double. Was it Simeon double? Maybe no. Smith got the double that lofter double that drove in Simeon in the first inning, which was kind of reminded. It's like a chip shot or something in golf. Is like he perfectly chipped it right in the perfect spot, and it hung up there long enough for him to run and get a double out of it, and that got Simeon home. And then Smith ends up over at third, and then you have the double steal. But man, I think it was I know Tavares had the bunt. So let's see how did this come about? Tavares pinch hit for Grossman. I want to say a little earlier when they switched pitchers, and Tavares comes up there. Simeon's on base. I guess Simeon got a single. And I guess they bunted him over, and then let's see, what happened after that? I guess the RBI was at an RBI single, maybe from Garcia, where he takes it the other way, and I think Simeon scored on that, which got them that extra run there. But I love what I like is that's twice now that we've seen Tavares be able to lay down a sacrifice bunt in a critical situation. I mean, in this day and age, I don't think we're all big fans of the bunt. It's not like a modern, vehicle that they use in the game. I don't know if that's even the right word, but it's not something they do a lot in the modern game, bunting. But man, when you're struggling offensively, and you get as many singles as the Rangers have been getting this year, like the bunt can be a real asset to you because you can get the single, you can make the contact. The Rangers have not had that big of an issue making contact. They really had bigger issue with the slug. So if you can be a little more aggressive on the base paths, you can move some runners over with sacrifice plays. I mean, it's still ways to win. It's winning baseball and it's winning games for the Rangers right now. And hats off to the boys, the Rangers, for doing what they got to do, just being adaptable and learning and moving on the fly and accepting that, hey, we're not the 2023 Rangers, we're the 2024 Rangers, and this is the brand of baseball we're going to play. And, I'm here for it. Rangers take their third win in a row. I'm kind of trying to stall as much as I can to see if I can get some final scores, but it's not likely that these West Coast games are going to end anytime soon. We're still in the sixth inning with Oakland and the seventh inning with in Los Angeles. But again, Oakland's got the Astros down 7-1, and then the Mariners are still down 5-1 to the Angels. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap the game for tonight. John Gray gets the win, 5-4. Man, we got Crochet. Crochet goes down for the loss, 6-7 with his 3.07 sparkling earned run average. Don't let that 3.73 ERA with John Gray fool you. He's been a good pitcher all year. And then Kirby Yates gets the save. Let's see he's on my fantasy team. So let's see how many saves that is for Yates on the year. 18th save of the year. What a season for this guy coming back. He's gonna hopefully reap the benefits if he stays healthy. So yeah, Rangers win 3-2. Now we got the White Sox for another one. We're doing it 4 times. So we're going to do 4 of these, and we're going to wrap this thing on Thursday, and hopefully we're wrapping a sweep, 4-game sweep at home. Man, that would be great for the home fans. Also too, last night was the Adolis Garcia World Series ring giveaway. And man, like that has been like the hot item of the city here in the Metroplex, because people are showing up. I think they gave away like 29,000 of them or something. It was something crazy, way more than they did on the Seager. I think they were trying to avoid this. They had way more they were giving away, and there were still people at the ballpark at 8:00 this morning lining up for it. 40,000 plus people. The crowd was hot for the majority of the night. So, man, hats off to our Rangers fans, to you guys that listen to the show, that go to the games, and that were out there at the game last night supporting this team. Keep going, keep doing it. We're doing it. We go to games, to all my friends who go to games that listen to the show, keep going, man, keep supporting this team. So for tonight, we're going to have Nate Eovaldi, the Bulldog with his 336 earned run average, 94 Ks, 6-4, kind of unheralded Nate Eovaldi. I mean, I wonder why he didn't get any all-star consideration, because he's been really good all year long. I mean, 6-4 record. Let me give you a little bit on Nate Eovaldi this year. 17 starts this year, so he's been healthy, on pace for possibly 30 starts. 6-4 with a 336 earned run average, 99 innings pitched, 94 Ks at a 1.07 whip, walks per whip. Y'all know what that means. To put it into perspective, last year, in that amazing season, he was 12-5 with a 363 earned run average, but he only started 25 games last year. This year, he's got 17 already. So, been a little healthier this year. His whip is better this year. Batting average against is better this year. So, Nathan Eovaldi's putting together a nice season for the Rangers. It's just the Rangers haven't quite been the same team this year that they were last year, not maybe getting the same fanfare. But big shout out to Nate Eovaldi. He's going to be taking on Chris Flexen, 6'3", 220, 30-year-old guy for the White Sox, 30-year-old pitcher, lifelong 5 earned run average guy. So Rangers have a chance here to really work this guy and do some damage here. The thing about these guys, and what I would like to see, this is what I'd like to see. They showed with Crochet, and then they showed in the bottom parts of the game, like in the late parts of the game, in that that late inning heroics a couple of nights ago. They showed the ability to get up there and have some real discipline at the plate and really work these pitchers. And this guy, Flexen, yeah, I know he throws cheese. You know, I get it. He gives up a ton of hits. He has a high earned run average. The batting average against is pretty high, 260, not as high as it was last year. But with that 1.4 whip, that means that he's walking guys too. Like he's putting guys on base. And what I'd like to see the Rangers do is really like wear this guy out and really get him tired and get him gassed as early as they possibly can, so he starts leaving fat pitches over the plate. See this team get a couple get enough of a lead or get enough on this guy, get him out of the game and get to the bad part of the bullpen and rack up some runs so that we don't have to tax our bullpen because we still got games going on. We still got to play some games. We got a big series against Toronto after this series, so Rangers will get that day off on Friday. But would love to see the Rangers come out and really just work this guy to just grind him into dust. And really, hopefully we get a good umpire so that the Rangers can execute that game plan and, run the pitch counts up. Don't give him no single digit innings and get this guy really worked. And you know what I love to see happen is Rangers get him in a position where the coach is like, oh, well, might as well just leave him out there and get what we can out of him, even if he gives up 7 or 8, whatever. That's the ideal situation. That's what I'm hoping for this game. Would love to see, Corey Seager got the night off, quote unquote, probably going to be happy to see him get back in the lineup. I felt like last night, if Seager, when he comes up, man, the crowd they were going nuts because it's a huge crowd. So he comes up to the plate to pitch it. They're going nuts, which almost feels like on purpose on Bochy's like, oh, we got all these people out here for this ring night. Let's sit Seager down. And then when we bring him out, they're going to go bonkers. And they did go bonkers when he came out. But how much more bonkers would they have gone if he'd have tagged a 430-foot home run, one of those lasers that he does? If he'd have tagged one of those, man, the place would absolutely the roof would have blown off if it was closed. But it didn't happen that way. But Seager came in for a pinch hit last night. But we'll see him most likely back in the lineup, and really hope to see Garcia kind of get back on track. Would love to see that start like this series tomorrow. Be great, or today. So again, today the start time for the game, we're looking at I want to say we're probably doing the old 7:05 Central, Valley Sports Southwest. You can check it out on 105.3 The Fan. Heck of a broadcast. I catch The Fan usually on Sundays on my way home from church. I catch that broadcast on my way home from church usually because the Bally app is not that great when you're in transit sometimes. Those guys do such a great job. It brings me back to the old days when I was a kid listening to baseball on the radio. So shout out to 105.3 The Fan for a great broadcast. That's all I got, guys. You got the preview, you got the box score, you got a ton of unsolicited opinions from me, killing some airtime here. Again, thanks everybody for tuning in. Don't forget to check out the website, TexasRangersWithTheBoys.com, which is all one word. Don't forget to check us out social media, TX Rangers WTB. Also, big shout out to our farmhands who are dedicated, our people. You guys are gals are amazing. We appreciate you guys for hanging out with us a little extra, and just for the, that it means enough to pay us a little money for it. So we appreciate that. Again, thank you to the Sports Fluent Network for having us on YouTube, on their YouTube channel, and all the extra exposure we get out of that, and all of our new fans that have come on, or new listeners that have come on because of that. Don't forget to check us out there. Just type in Texas Rangers with the Boys on that search bar, and you will find us. Even though he's not here, I'm still going to do our exit, our outro, or what do you want to call it. So for the 300-pound manual, this is your boy Kev. We are Texas Rangers with the Boys. We're signing out.